This is a 2011 Saab 9.5, and it was the final Saab. This is 911, and it was the final car ever made, along with the 911 crossover. And today, I'm going to take a look at the final Saab. Before I get into the final 9.5, a brief overview. The last generation 911 came out for the 2010 model year, and it only lasted for 2 model years before Saab went down in 911. The 9 was offered with 2 engine options. You could get a 6 horsepower turbo V300 or a 4 horsepower turbo 220 cylinder, which is what this car has. So anyway, today I'm going to show you around the final 5. Then I'm going to get it out on the drive and road it, and then I'm going to give it a door. And for more of my thoughts on this, click the link below to visit autotrader.com/cars and bids. I'm going to start the features odd, but to me that green screen in there isn't quite as odd as the gauge cluster needles, which are also green. Another one of the quirks of the Saab is the little night panel button to the right of the steering wheel. Now, you push night panel and it turns off the lighting. That's a pretty good idea, pretty good idea. Now, it turns off the other gauges completely. So like the tachometer falls to 0, the fuel gauge falls to empty, and they're not Some of these buttons to control stuff are chipping, they're fading, they're wearing, basically. Chipping, and the car no longer exists. So the driver can have the climate control vent positioned towards the passenger can have the vent positioned towards the driver. Air is blowing on both of them, they're both turned on. One interesting item with the vents though, even though you can see that the climate control vent itself stops in the middle, the design for a climate control vent, goes across the entire kind of driver's side dashboard in the car. But the latch on the passenger is the most interesting of the 3. If you pull that one, it moves the center console lid up. Now next you move under the hood, and the company is now dead. Now since I'm outside the 9.5, I want to mention styling. Now I'm obsessed with Saabs. I'm really into them, but I have to admit, this is a really attractive car. It's a very, very stylish car. With that said, I've always found this car to be a little bit weird and kind of stupid. You can see how these lines on the door kind of come to a point down here on the door. Now next I'm moving on to the trunks. The other interesting thing I found in the trunk, you open up the bottom, discarded there in the spare tire well, probably no one's seen it for years, is the original window sticker, which is in terrible shape, but it shows the MSRP of this car was $947,000. And you had to be a serious 911 loving, sweater wearing architect to really pay anything for one of these. The other interesting thing I found in that screen is that it offers you an airplane. It's another interesting setting in the infotainment system. If you keep scrolling through the navigation settings, you will find that it offers you the ability to turn on or off the low fuel warning. Tell me, who wants to turn that off? No, I don't want my car to let me know when I'm out of gas. I'll know when I'm out of gas. Okay. Yay.
That's a sad little blank screen to see with all those little blank notches indicating what could have been if only this car had lived longer.
All right, driving the final 9.5, the end of the Saab run. I still can't believe that this was a $7 car only 48,000 years ago. I have to admit, I am very surprised by acceleration. I'm gonna floor it. The interior is nice and comfortable. Obviously with these buttons starting to peel, it doesn't look that nice, but it also doesn't look that nice. And so that's the final Saab. The truth is, this is a car. And now it's time to give it a door.
Starting with the weekend categories and weekend styling, the 9.5 10 out of 10. Acceleration, the base engine is peppy, but it still earns just a 1 out of 1. Daily categories.